Hey, this is Shannon with my genius son Isaac here. Train of Thought videos. This is our second episode. Isaac's gonna talk on a subject about photosynthesis. Most people know what it is, but they don't know how it happens. But Isaac is going to explain to you the chemical process in which it transpires. Well, have at it, Isaac.
Okay, so the reason we're doing this topic, I actually picked this one myself because I know a bit about it. We haven't gotten any emails yet, so have at it. So the main process is photophosphorylation. There's cyclic and there's non-cyclic. Photophosphorylation is when the light energy... Okay, first I'm going to define the parts of chloroplast, which is the cell in which photosynthesis takes place. There are green discs, stacks of green discs in each chloroplast. They're called granum, and the plural is grana. There are stacks of grana, and light energy goes into the grana and gives the electrons energy through a process known as electron excitation. And then the electrons go and dump out their energy into some energy carriers that are flowing within the xylem and phloem of the plant. That's like its circulation system. Xylem transports nutrients, like solid nutrients and food and stuff, like fertilizer from the soil, and phloem transports water. I may be wrong with that. The energy carriers are nicotinamide, adenine, dinucleotide, phosphate. There are two forms of that. There's NADP, and then there's a more potent form, NADPH, which is better at carrying energy. Second energy carrier, it actually starts off as ADP, which is adenine diphosphate, and di is a Latin root for two, DI, not DIE. And it combines with a phosphate molecule. It gets the energy for the reaction in the Hill reaction, which I'll define later. It combines with a phosphate molecule to create ATP, adenine triphosphate. How it gets its hydrogen for the reaction is through photolysis of water. PHOTOLYSIS. There may be a Y. Okay, sorry about that. Photolysis of water. It takes in water through the roots.
Photolysis.
Yes, photolysis. Takes in water through the roots and breaks the H2O into two hydrogen ions, and then expels the oxygen as a waste product.
And then we gladly eat their poop.
Inhale their poop. Which is a little worse.
Yeah, like little insects following behind a dog eating food.
Beautiful analogy.
Humans are waste eaters.
Okay, so, and that's photolysis of water. The Hill reaction is the combination of ADP and P, which is phosphate. And the main process where they get most of their energy is photophosphorylation. The light coming in, striking the electrons, then the electrons dump it in to the NADPH and just transport it through the xylem and phloem. So it's actually pretty not that complicated. I've been wondering about that for a while, wondering how it actually works, and I finally found out.
What did you tell us you were going to speak about later in the video?
You mean in the last video?
No, this one.
Hill reaction.
The Hill reaction. Okay, Isaac's done a very good job of explaining the process of how photosynthesis works. Now he's going to move on to the subject of plants that don't fully require photosynthesis to survive.
There are a few. There are vines like there are a couple of vines like the Virginia creeper and poison ivy, but they all have leaves, and leaves are green. So green is chlorophyll, so they require photosynthesis. But there is one called Cuscuta, or the strangleweed. It looks dead, but I think it's one of the most interesting plants I've ever seen. It starts as roots, but then it grows to the nearest host plant in a form of parasitic symbiosis. Symbiosis is simply a relation between two organisms. And it latches onto that, and it grows 5 inches a day. It's an extraordinary rate.
Is it in the rainforest?
I'm not sure to where it's indigenous, but it would be able to survive in a rainforest pretty easily. But the only plant that grows faster than that is the elephant weed or elephant grass. 5 feet a day. And then sea kelp.
Yeah, sea kelp is the fastest.
Giant sea kelp grows 1 meter a day. 5 meters a day.
5 meters a day. Yeah.
5 meters a day. That's 5 meters, 3 feet, 15 feet a day.
That's a lot.
Here you go again. So, one of the more interesting things about Cuscuta is it has a sense of smell. A sense of smell, but it's not literally smelling like we see it. It's chemotrophism. Chemo is like chemistry, and the way we sense smell is olfactory receptors. The molecules of whatever we smell make it into our nose, and our brain perceives it. But Cuscuta does not do it like that. It recognizes a scent through chemosynthesis. I've already defined that. Chemotrophism. Trophism is in response to. So it will actually grow towards a tomato plant if it's next to it. If you put a fake...
You do it in with still frame or whatever. Where
time lapse.
If you do it time lapse photography, you can actually see the vine sitting there going back and forth, searching around, and the next thing you know, it's found it and it latches on.
Ow. Okay. So if you put 2 tomato plants next to it, it can't decide. It'll go round and round. It'll be stuck for about a day, but then it'll decide one. But other types of trophism, there's phototrophism, response to light, there's heliotrophism, and there's...
Phototrophism is probably what most plants use. They grow towards the sunlight, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's thigmotrophism.
Thigma?
Thigmo, Thigmo.
Thigma.
Yeah. You can actually buy a plant with thigmotrophism at Hobby Lobby. It's pretty neat. It's called alien plant. There are a lot of names: tickle me plants, sensitive plants. But thigmotrophism is response to touch. So when you touch it, all of its leaves close, like fast. It's really neat. I just think that any type of trophism or Cuscuta is really fascinating.
Some ferns have it.
Some ferns, yeah. Actually, I think...
That's probably what most people are familiar with.
I think the touch me not plant, which is a thigmotrophism, is a fern. Or an evergreen, I forgot. So now we're going to move on to carnivorous plants. There are a lot of types of them, but the most well-known is the Venus flytrap. It's actually the rarest plant in the world. It only grows in one spot of North Carolina. But like the sensitive plant, it has thigmotrophism. When the victim is inside, it responds to its touch, but in a different way. The sensitive plant simply feels something brushing up against it, but the Venus flytrap, if you picture the leaves on it with the hairs, thank you. There are 3 trigger hairs on each side of the leaf. Do you want to...
Go ahead. I'm giving a visual representation.
Okay. Nice visual representation. 3 trigger hairs. Once a victim hits one, a biological timer is triggered. If another is triggered within 20 seconds, then the trap will close really fast. It'll eat a variety of insects. It'll eat slugs, worms, frogs if it's big enough, slugs. But my
Two
favorite.
slugs. At once?
My favorite type of carnivorous plant is the pitcher plant. I've actually owned one type. It's the Nepenthes pitcher plant. They've been known to catch birds, like big birds, not hummingbirds or anything, big birds. Size of a pigeon. They can grow really big.
Isn't there not another type of pitcher plant that actually predominantly tries to get rodents to poo in it and it gets the nutrients from the poo?
Yes, there are some. They have evolved different shapes leaves. It's like a really tall cup with a lid on top, and the leaf up here produces nectar or some other sweet liquid, and a rat or some other small rodent eats the nectar and then defecates into the pitcher, which
While
is
he's having
nutrients.
his meal, rats.
Yes.
Rats are very unkosher, or they're not good table guests. And while they eat, they like to poo.
Sometimes they'll fall in, which is even more nutrients. But there's a couple of types. There are some species that grow straight off the ground, and then there are some that grow in the air, like in a tree, and then go down, and then curve right back up into a pitcher. But the smaller ones usually feed on small insects, yellow jackets, ants. But the weird thing is, each pitcher catches only one type. You can have one plant here, and this pitcher will be catching nothing but ants, this pitcher nothing but bees, and then another nothing but flies.
Are you
It's
telling
not
me about the
mixed up.
same species, the
Yeah.
same plant?
Nepenthes. Yes, the same plant, but it's never mixed up. All ants in one picture, all bees in another. It's just weird. You can actually watch the dissections of pitcher plants. Just look up pitcher plant dissection. Pretty straightforward, but. And then there's sundew plants and butterwort and bladderwort. I'll explain all three of those. Bladderwort is my next favorite. It's a water plant, and it grows like a lily pad, but not straight up from the bottom of the pond or wherever it's growing. Its roots absorb water, and they have traps on them at the same time. They're really good at catching mosquito larvae. And sometimes a stray fish egg will flow into them, but that's pretty rare. They have hairs, a bunch of really fine hairs, and once it's triggered, the sacs or the bladders are filled with air. Once the hairs are once something bristles up against hairs, it opens, causing a vacuum. Like when you open up a vacuum tube or bust a light bulb. Light bulbs
It's
are
actually
vacuums.
very cool to watch.
Yeah.
It's an awesome process.
And it'll suck them in really fast and then close right back. There are two types of sundew plant. There's Cape sundew and spoonleaf sundew. Cape sundew has really long leaves, and a fly or something will come get trapped. It has a bunch of hairs all along the leaf, just on the top side. And at the ends of the hairs is a sweet liquid that's also very sticky. So they fly into it, get stuck, and the more they move around, the more bristles they touch, the more they get stuck. And this plant is very slow. It slowly curls up around the fly or whatever insect is caught over a couple of days. I'm not an insect.
We're about out of time. Have a good night. We're about out of time. Have a good night.
night.
We're about out of time. Have a good night.